All right, well, just first of all, thanks for being here. Obviously, we've got a big game on Sunday, a game that means a lot to a lot of people, and against a familiar foe in the history of both schools. So we're still trying to figure it out and get better. We're working every day. I don't think there's any question we're not the same team we were that went into Palo Alto and beat Stanford. We've got obviously some injury issues that we're dealing with, and we're not playing as well. And so consequently, we've got 2 days to get better. We watched some film yesterday and did some things in practice, just working on some things that we've got to address, and then we got to get ready to play a really good Texas A&M team. I mean, you're looking at a team that's averaging 76, 77 points a game. I think their defense jumps out at you, only 55 points a game. 4 kids shooting 47% or better. It's just, and that's from 3, by the way. 47% from 3. I think they're the #1 team in the country in three-point field goal percentage. They're averaging over 8 threes a game, shoot it with tremendous confidence. We've got 5 players shooting over 45% from the floor, including one from 63 and another one at 53. So we, from a defensive perspective, I mean, we've got our hands full. We've got to get refocused and playing like we were, probably 2-3 weeks ago defensively. I think we've lost a little bit of our edge for whatever reason, and so we've got to get our edge back on that end before we can even think about doing anything else. Again, obviously, Coach Blair's somebody I've known forever. I think he's in 7 Hall of Fames. He's got his team playing well like he always does. They're always going to be well coached, well disciplined, play really hard, have great, they're always going to be well prepared. I'm sure they're going to have a great crowd on Sunday. From what I understand, they're doing a great job of marketing it, which they always do. And our kids, our young kids, are going to have to go in there and play well, and probably play in an environment where there's not going to be a lot of orange. And so it's going to be a good challenge for us. There's no question about it. I'm anxious to see us play in that environment. I'm anxious to see how we respond. Obviously, we didn't play very well Wednesday. Again, I think you give Jackson State a lot of credit, but at the same time, at some point we've got to fix what's broken and address some of those things that we're not doing well right now. Which you can create all the excuses you want, but at the end of the day, that's all they are. And nobody cares about your excuses but your opponents. I mean, that's the only people that care. So we've got to address them, get them addressed, get them fixed, and we got to get better. I think we've hit a little bit of a plateau or a lull where we're not getting better. And so that's my job. I got to get us better every day, and it starts with our preparation, both mentally and physically. So. Excited about the opportunity, excited to get to practice today. I'm going to win practice like I always try to do. And I'm hoping these two can do a great job leading us and getting us ready for an A&M team that's obviously undefeated, playing very, very well, coming off a championship in the Virgin Islands. And so we got to work it out for us.
Audrey, Coach just said, Coach just said that the team's at a plateau, a lull, and you have to fix what's broken. As a leader on this team, do you agree there's something that's broken, and what is it?
Yeah, I agree that there's lots of things that we need to fix, especially starting on the defensive end. I think we're having mental lapses in our press, and fixing that in practice is how it's going to start getting better, and anything else that needs to be broken will start in practice as well.
That environment that Coach talked about, Rori, where you're going to be playing in front of a hostile crowd with not a lot of orange. This is going to be maybe a first for you, a true hostile road crowd in college. What have your teammates told you to expect from that?
Well, coming to Texas, hearing Coach Schaefer every time that we do play somebody good, which we played all good teams this year, is that every time you have Texas across your chest coming on the court, you're going to get everybody's best game. And I feel like I've been very well prepared myself as well as our team. We are having our little plateau right now, but you can tell that everybody is like within the team, like you can see it in their eyes in the huddle that they're willing to fight. It doesn't matter like if we're gonna barely see orange this weekend. I mean, we have our team, we have each other, so that's all we need.
Vic, you reflect on your time with Gary and just kind of his career, and then the awkward question. He's obviously have endorsed Kelly to replace him, but if they called, would you pick up the phone?
Man, you don't know how many times I've had that asked me over the last 10 years since I left him. You know, Coach and I, man, we had 15 great years together, 6 at Arkansas, 9 at A&M, won a lot of games together. You know, early in our careers, we literally would fight like brothers. And people could see it. And you know what? Quite frankly, I wasn't a very good assistant because he was the head coach. But he always said, Vic didn't tell me what I wanted to hear. Vic told me what I needed to hear. And any disagreement we ever had, it was over winning. What we thought was best for the team and what we thought was best for us to win. And I have so much, I have so much respect. Can you imagine arguing with somebody vehemently in a 10 o'clock staff meeting, and at 11:15, the boss walking by, sticking his head in your office going, hey, I'm going to lunch, you want to go? I mean, like nothing happened. Like that was one of the first things that ever happened at Arkansas when I was an assistant with him. Like, who can do that? But that speaks volumes of him as a person and who he is. And, you know, I've just been with him for so many great games, great victories, a national championship. He invested in me. He relied on me for a lot. I never wanted to let him down. You know, I never wanted to be wrong. I know one game, you know, I was in charge of the defense while I was with him, and one game, Oklahoma State, we were in the Big 12. This was in Oklahoma State came in and they had 25 offensive rebounds. They had a big country junior on their team, and she just destroyed us on boards. We gave up 25 offensive boards, got beat like, I don't know, 67, 62. So the next day, I'm in early like I always was, and you know, again, my goal is always to hold people under 60. So in my mind, I didn't get my job done, right? They scored 67, but he walks by the office door, passes my door, gets just about out of view of the glass, and then backs up, literally moonwalks backs up and sticks his head in and goes, hey, by the way, rebounding is part of defense, and walked on to his office. I got the message. I got on the phone. I had a good friend that was coaching at a place that led the country in rebounding. And I said, hey, give me your 2 best rebounding drills. We got problems. We need to fix it. And I still run those 2 rebounding drills to this day. And that's, you know, that was his subtle way of getting a message across, and I heard it loud and clear. But that was the pride I took, knowing that he relied on me so much. And that's the pride I took in making sure that as I always used to say as an assistant, I'm not paid to be wrong. I'm still not paid to be wrong. And it just, you know, I learned a lot from him. And the blueprint that he and I had at Arkansas and at A&M in rebuilding programs is the one I took to Mississippi State. It's the one that I've brought here. And I think that's the you learn about organization, you learn about the importance of staff, surrounding yourself with good people, allowing your people to work. He didn't micromanage me. I try not to micromanage mine. You hire people to do a job, you know. I recruit kids to do a job. You know, they got to do their job. I always tell them, just do your job. And so, look, I don't think there's anybody in the world that sees the game better than Coach. There's adjustments he makes in games, and I'd have to tap him on Lego. Coach, we can't do that. Like, you're right, but like our kids can't. We're not that far along where we can comprehend you just doing one thing and then we got to go to the floor and do something we hadn't practiced. But that's his. He sees the game. I've always said he'd be a great pro coach because the pros can handle that, right? And so he just he's so good. And he's been so much to the game. Listen, we always talk about the icons, the people that have meant so much to women's college basketball over the years. He coached the last 6-on-6 game in Gregory Gym in high school. He's coached with Leon Barmore at La Tech. What he's continued to do at Arkansas and Stephen F. Arkansas and now A&M. I mean, he deserves to be mentioned in the same breath with those very icons that we talk about, the Pat Summits of the world. I mean, what he's meant to this game, what he's brought to the game, the lives that he's impacted. I mean, he's just special. It's going to be it's been different for me being on the bench on the other end, away from him after being with him 15 years, knowing that this probably going to be the last time that we're in the same gym together on opposite ends of the floor. But you know what? I will say this. When it gets tipped up, he's going to try to beat my brains out, and I'm going to try to beat his brains out. And that's just who we are. And so I don't think either one of us would want it any other way. And we've had some knockdown dragouts. You know, that first year, these kids don't even know it. That first game when I left and went to Mississippi State, he beat me 88-33. In Starkville, and then we went back and played him in A&M, and I think it was 75-39, and we just weren't ready. Now that was the number 2 recruiting class in the country that we recruited that we never really got to coach, and then after that we've had some really good games. So he's got him a hell of a team, and we're gonna have to play really well. They're a veteran team. Their guards are veteran guards, been around the block a bunch. And we're going to have to play really well at the guard spot before we can even think about playing anywhere else.
That's the other question again. Would you pick up the phone if they call and you were interested in it?
I left Mississippi State for one job, and it was Texas. That's the answer.
Audrey and Rori kind of answered this a little bit, but Audrey, you played A&M once in your career. Rori, you're obviously a freshman who was in elementary school when these two were in the conference last. Can you guys grasp what this rivalry is, or is this just another game to you?
Since I only played them once, I never really understood the rivalry beforehand last year. Didn't really know much about the A&M and Texas rivalry. I knew they were in the conference long ago, but I didn't know how much it meant to Texas and to A&M to go up against each other. I mean, you go on Twitter all the time and you see Aggies dogging on Longhorns and Longhorns dogging on Aggies. So it's I see now that it's a big rivalry. It's going to be a big game. Every game's just another game, but some are, they mean a little more to the people outside the court.
I mean, yeah, like you said, this is my first time playing A&M, and I would say when I was younger, I understood, like, I could see that the rivalry, like, between the schools, but I didn't really, like, know what it meant too much. I was always like, well, whoever wins, that's who I'm going to root for when I was younger, but, I mean, here we are. So, and it's going to mean a lot to Coach Schaefer and us, and then, of course, the fans here, and then, of course, the Aggies. It's going to mean a lot. But, it's just another game to play, and we have to play a part.
And to be fair to Audrey, I mean, we had no fans last year here. It was really unfair to play that game. And so, she really hasn't experienced it. Obviously, none of our kids really have experienced it. And I think if we weren't going to that conference, whenever we are down the line, I think if Coach was still at A&M in years to come, we'd both keep it alive. I think we would both play the game because I think we know it's a good, healthy rivalry, you know, in women's basketball, and it's good for our game. It's going to be nationally televised. It'll have Carolyn Peck and Courtney on the game, so those are two of the best in the business. So, you know, it's it's something that I think is good for our game, and obviously going into that league, it'll be something that we'll do every year, whether you wanted to or not.
Audrey, something Vic just said just kind of piqued my interest. Last year was obviously really weird with the no crowds, some crowds, cardboard cutouts, whatever that was. Has it been an adjustment playing with fans in the crowd and not having pipe and noise and having people either cheering for you or screaming at you when you're on the road?
I mean, freshman and sophomore year, there were fans, so I was used to having them, so it was more of an adjustment not having them than to have them. I was just excited to have them back in the seats this year, so.
Rory, Coach Schaefer has talked to us extensively about Audrey's leadership or toughness. I want to hear from you. What does she bring to the team?
She's the person, that role model on their team that everybody wants to make sure we're wanting to play like. She plays defense, offense, plays really hard. You know, every time Audrey steps on the floor, it's like, I would be kind of intimidated if I was the other team to see the grit in her eyes and to see how hard she plays. And that's what Texas is about. So we all need to, which we are all like are falling into playing like Audrey, like how she plays defense and stuff. So it's hard not to.
The grit in your eyes is what Texas is about. How does it feel to hear that?
I mean, that's a good feeling knowing that not only her, but I'm sure a lot of the team sees that and, you know, they take after trying to play like that. So.
Audrey, we met Aaliyah a couple days ago. What has she brought to the team? She came over from Mississippi State.
She brought competitiveness. There's not a moment on the court where she's not going to go get hers and make sure you don't get yours. She competes and she competes hard. So I would say that she brings just this energy that you were on the same team, but it feels like you're really trying to earn your spot playing against her.
Or you kind of not in agreement with that? Is that kind of
No, yeah, it's definitely her. I mean, we talk a lot throughout practice about just the game in general, and if we are playing against each other, she may like walk right next to me and say, "I hope you know you're not gonna win." Like it's just very competitive with the league. But of course, on like the same team when it's not in practice and we have a game, I mean, that's just someone you want to play with. Just like Audrey, you want to play with those people who are gonna play hard, be competitive, and have that grit in their eyes.
Okay, coming off the Jackson State game, what have you seen from, it's been one day since in that game from your team, just kind of how they responded to a win, but you were obviously frustrated with some things afterwards.
Yeah, I could probably answer that better this afternoon after today's practice. Yesterday was more about, we watched film and then we really, you know, our basketball IQ, I really worked hard on drawing things up and then going to the floor and doing it. We had some issues during the game where I drew something up in a huddle and we went out on the floor and we couldn't execute. We've got people in the wrong place, they're not paying attention or they don't understand. And so I worked extensively on that, whether it was half court, out of bounds plays, whatever. We worked extensively on that yesterday. You know, we like to talk about how tough we are, but we're not quite there in my mind. And so, you know, you can't stand around and go, well, we're just not tough. No, you have to coach them and make them tough. You know, that's what happens. That's how you develop toughness. It's not something you're just ineptly born with. I mean, I think you go through. I don't think Audrey just came out of the womb and was a tough baby. You know, I think Dad pushed her, coached her. She had some high school coaches that demanded of her, and so that's who she's evolved into. I think she would agree. And so I think that's, you know, we're developing so many things with so many different players. I mean, we're really young and inexperienced. Let's face it, y'all. Let's come to the understanding we're replacing 4 starters, 3.5. She was in and out of the lineup most of the year. Sometimes didn't practice for 2 weeks at a time during the middle of our season, right? So you can count her and say, okay, we're replacing 3 starters. But really, we're replacing 3.5 to 4 starters. And we go and we have this victory against Stanford. So now we've created this monster that, are we really that monster? Are we really ready to be that team? And I think the answer's still out there. I mean, I see practice and I say, no, we're not ready to be that team yet. Did we have a great game against Stanford and beat a really good team? Absolutely. Can't take that from us. That's going to be on the resume all year long. But are we ready to be that team day in, day out, night in, night out? I don't think we are. But the reason is it's not because we're bad kids or we're not trying. It's just we're young, inexperienced, and we're immature. I mean, that again doesn't make us bad people. It's just who we are right now, and that's part of coaching. You have to bring them along, develop them, nurture them, and get them to that point where that's not an issue. So I think we have to really take a step back and be fair with this team and realize, hey, we still have our top end is way out there, y'all. And it's a process. There's stair steps involved, no escalators. You got to take steps. And, you know, for this team, it's not going to happen overnight. And then what happened with Moore being out of our lineup, she played 2 positions, which allowed her to play 2 positions. Now with her out, I have a real multiple player that isn't playing. That hurts my depth in multiple positions, and it kind of pigeonholes her a little bit, and it takes away some of my flexibility with the rest of my team. Remember, y'all, I've said this before. My 4 freshmen and Aaliyah Matharu won 2 straight days of Longhorn and won it in a landslide going into Stanford. Y'all, the practice at Stanford on Saturday night was a knockdown dragout. I mean, it was physical. I mean, her and Ashley were going at it like they were, you know, on opposite teams, on opposite schools. I mean, I had the ESPN crew in there, and I'm sure they were going, good God, what the heck? I got to play tomorrow. And finally, at one point, I told my staff, I said, we got to get out of here before somebody gets hurt, because we were so competitive. So you want to know what I'm missing with those 3 kids in the boot? I'm missing that competitive spirit. I'm missing, you know, Kendall, she played 1 game, had 27, and has played 3-4 minutes since. Hadn't practiced really since. Kobe, again, another competitor that pushes Joe, pushes Aaliyah, pushes Audrey. And so, again, you can't reach your full potential until you're uncomfortable. And that's what having those 3 and 13 healthy kids provides, is an uncomfortable environment that's conducive to learning and conducive to you becoming the best you can be. Ashley pushes her every day. Those 2 compete every day. It's a good, healthy competition. But that's what we're missing right now. And I think that's what's contributed to our plateauing, so to speak. Once we get those kids back, I think the environment changes immediately. So what do you do between now and then? It takes maturity. It takes leadership. It takes kids coming in every day and going, okay, give me the men's practice team. I'll go against them, coach. I'll get better against them. That's where we are right now with this team. And again, it's part of the game. Injuries are part of the game. Nobody cares about them. You know, nobody cares. Coach Blair's probably at College Station. I've been around him long enough. He's over there going, yeah, sure. I guarantee you Vic's will have all 3 of those kids back on Sunday. You know, and whether we are or whether we aren't, it doesn't matter. We've got to get them back at some point to get our team back to that where we got our edge. That's how you keep an edge. You're uncomfortable. You feel threatened from a competitive standpoint and a minutes played standpoint. That's how you keep your edge. And so I think we've got to get back to that.
I'm disappointed to find out that Audrey wasn't taking charges in daycare.
No, Audrey was crying.
I'm not sure of that. I think we'd have to get confirmation, but
I cried in practices when I was told to take the ball from someone. I was not an aggressive person whatsoever. Yeah.
hard to believe.
Hey everybody, we want you to come out to our game next Saturday against Idaho. It'll be teddy bear toss at halftime. Everybody bring a teddy bear. All of them will go to local charities and local hospitals.
We want to see 5,000 people there, even more actually, to be honest.
It's a special day for us. It's something we've brought with us from Mississippi State. It's something that we feel like is really cool that we can do for the community. We'll donate then those teddy bears to local charities and hospitals for Christmas, and so it's something that we really look forward to. We want everybody to come out, support this great cause, and again, it's pretty cool when you see 5, 6, 7,000 teddy bears all raining down on a basketball court at halftime, and our kids will be out there to pick them up and make sure we get them to the right people. So, thanks again.
Thank you.
you.
Welcome.